Hi guys, welcome back to the Morning Talks podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed the introduction of this podcast. This is going to be episode 1. I did not want to have the introduction be a part of the episodes. I wanted that to just be the introduction of this podcast. So if you guys haven't watched the introduction, go check out the introduction and then come back and watch this podcast. That way you guys know what this podcast is about, what it means to me, and kind of the environment that I want to create on this platform with my podcast. For today's episode, I'm going to be answering 21 questions about myself. I don't know if we're going to do 21 questions fully because I feel like I can talk forever and I don't want to make this podcast super long. I also forgot my mic inside and I don't want to go back inside to grab it. So I have no mic. I'm still working on finding some equipment that I can set up in my car to do this podcast. But like I said in the introduction, I just wanted to get started on this podcast. I was just excited and we're just going to make it work with the tools that we have right now. I definitely feel like I'm going to get hot in the middle of this podcast. I'm gonna definitely take this off. But before we get further into this podcast, you guys know I have to do my energy drink of the day. I'm just doing a Red Bull today. I'm not working out. I need some energy, but I normally just do caffeine, like energy drinks, when I am working out. If not, I'm usually grabbing a sugar-free Red Bull. So that's what I'm drinking today since I'm not working out, and I do need a little bit of caffeine because I am pretty low energy today. So cheers. Let me get comfortable in here, okay? So I wanted this first episode to be a little bit about me. I just want to share with you guys whatever questions you guys have about me and just kind of give you guys some information. That way you guys can learn more about me that you may or may not already know. So I did a little question box on Instagram, so I'm just going to go through the questions and just basically answer your guys' questions. So starting off with question 1, do you train different based on your cycle? So I get terrible periods, okay? If you don't follow me on my other social media accounts, go follow me one. But I always talk about when I'm on my period, I don't train. I get really bad period cramps. My menstrual cycles are just rough for me. Honestly, the last few months have not been that bad. I've had pretty decent cramps to where I'm not completely dying in my bed, because girl, I would literally just not be able to get up out of my bed because my period cramps my period cramps were so terrible that I just would not get out of bed. I would literally just lay in bed all day and I would be in and out of sleep. I would get hot flashes and it was just rough, okay? My appetite is bad and I just wouldn't do anything. Now, I don't know what it is, maybe something in my diet that has changed, but my period cramps aren't as terrible. I do feel a little more fatigued, a little more tired, and I really just don't work out, just depending on how I'm feeling. There's some months where I can push through and I'm okay, I'll be fine, I can go work out. But if I am not feeling the gym and I just feel I need to give my body a rest because of my menstrual cycle, then I don't even stress it. I don't feel guilty about it. Today, for example, I'm having pre-period cramps and the goal was to go to the gym and at least do some cardio and core, because I did legs yesterday and then I also did a little bit of upper body on Wednesday, but I didn't do a full upper body workout. But I was you know what, that's okay. I want to do legs tomorrow, and then today the goal was to do cardio and core. I didn't get to the gym because I'm having pre-period cramps, so my period should be coming any day now. And so I was you know what, I'm just gonna let my body rest. I'm not gonna push it. My cramps aren't terrible, but they're uncomfortable and I just feel very fatigued. So I was I'm not gonna go to the gym. I don't necessarily track everything. I know I should, and I know there's so much science behind menstrual cycle and training, and I definitely want to educate myself more on that, because I know we have different phases in our period and different types of workouts we should probably be prioritizing during those phases in our periods. But I just haven't educated myself enough to train based on my menstrual cycle. But I will just say if I am not feeling 100% because of my menstrual cycle, then I just won't train. Or if I feel like I can go to the gym and push through, I'll just do like more of a light workout, nothing crazy heavy weight wise, and just kind of take it like chill. But I definitely want to like educate myself more about training and our menstrual cycles. Next question, are you glute dominant or quad dominant? Honestly, I think I'm both. I'm not, like, hamstrings for sure, like that she's not dominant at all. Like my hamstrings they're there, but like they're not as visible as a lot of other people. And so I definitely think I'm more like glute and quad focused, because certain movements I will feel it in my quads right away, but if it's like a hip hinge movement, then I will definitely feel my glutes over my hamstrings. Like it takes me a little bit more to really target my hamstrings, but I'm definitely glute and quad dominant, I would say. Next question is, how do you deal with not feeling jealous / insecure in your relationship? So I definitely think that insecurities and jealousy, a lot of it comes from within. Of course, if your partner has done things to you to make you feel insecure or make you jealous, and obviously that's going to contribute, but I think a lot of insecurities and jealousies just come from being insecure with who we are as an individual. And so for me, I just focus on myself. I make sure that I am the best version of myself that I can be. I take care of myself mentally, physically, and emotionally so that I can be a better partner. You know, if my fiance isn't doing, or like if your partner isn't doing anything to necessarily make you feel insecure or jealous, it's probably just stemming from inside, and you have to do some inner work to help you get over those insecurities and jealousies. And also, if they're not making you feel special and making you feel beautiful, then maybe they aren't the one for you, and maybe you just need to have like that communication with them. There's like so many cars passing by right now, and I'm like, why are they passing by so slow? It's not okay. I'm not gonna say like I've never been insecure, I've never been jealous, but I've just learned like, okay, where does it stem from? Why am I feeling like this? And I just communicate that with my partner and be like, hey, like I'm feeling this type of way because X, Y, and Z, you know, and your partner should help you with those insecurities and jealousies. Like there's only so much that another person can do. Like a lot of the work has to come from within, but just keeping an open communication, being honest with yourself and being honest with your partner. And I feel like that's just kind of like the best advice or tip for like how I deal with being jealous or insecure. And next question is, how did you start your fitness journey? So I've always been active growing up. I played soccer since I was 5, and after I stopped playing soccer, I just kind of still wanted to stay active and just looked for other ways to stay active. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the gym. I had like zero idea what I was doing in the gym. I would just go to the gym and just do whatever workouts I saw online, really didn't care about my form and like little things that I care about like now. So I was just going to the gym just to stay active because I wasn't playing soccer anymore. And then little by little, it just became a part of my life. It's not my entire life. I feel like I have a very healthy relationship with the gym to where I don't feel guilty if I don't go to the gym, or if I'm not necessarily eating the best. Like I still want to enjoy my life. Like we only have one life, so enjoy your life, make the gym a part of your life, not your entire life. But basically like the start of my fitness journey was like just me finding a way to stay active after like not playing soccer basically my whole life. What is my favorite food and restaurant? Well, if you ask my fiance, he's gonna definitely tell you that I love Asian food or sushi, which is not wrong. But I don't know why, I always like just crave and want ramen or sushi. I don't know what it is. But I'm not a picky eater, if I'm being honest. I think my favorite though has to be like Italian and like pasta. But if we talk about like a fast food restaurant type thing, I would probably have to say like In-N-Out. I really like In-N-Out. Probably gonna go get In-N-Out after I finish filming this podcast because it sounds so good. Best dating tips / advice. Communication. I think for me, communication is a big one. Another big one is never stop dating your significant other. Like, no matter how long you guys have been with each other, never stop dating your significant other. Never stop doing the things that you did to get that person. You should always be not like in the cupcake phase, but like date each other, like go on dates once a week, whether it's like going out to a restaurant or just spending quality time together. I think for me, it's communication and quality time. Like, never stop dating each other, making the time for each other. Of course, things happen in our lives where, you know, we may not be able to see each other as much or be able to hang out as much as we want to, but you just need to have like that open communication. And I would also say that working on yourself is also going to benefit your relationship. If you are not happy with yourself, you are not going to be happy with anybody else, no matter what anybody else does or says. Like, you are just never going to truly be happy. Even if this guy is like, or this person is like the best person ever for you, but if you are not happy internally, then you're not going to be happy like with anybody else. So obviously, just be open with each other, communicate your guys' feelings, thoughts, whatever it may be, is like such a big thing. I would say, like, advice wise, I've obviously been with my partner for 7 years now. We are not the same people we were when we met. We were 20 when we met. We're now 27, 28. We're not the same people. And so I feel like we've gone through a lot of changes together, and we've experienced a lot of life experiences together, you know, good and bad. And I just feel like those life experiences will really truly tell you and show you if like that is a person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. Nobody is perfect, but you have to be okay with your significant other's flaws. If you aren't okay with their flaws, and maybe they just aren't the right person for you, but if there's certain things that they do and you're like, ugh, like that kind of bugs me, but it's not like, I can live with it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, my fiance snores and I'm just like, okay, it takes me a little longer to fall asleep, but I can live with that. Like, whatever, you know, like just little things like that. I would also say, like, don't lower your standards. Like, if there's something that you want in a person, never lower them for somebody else. Like, you need to be good within yourself, and you need to know the type of person that you are and the type of things that you want from your partner. So really work on yourself. Like, even if you're dating, make sure that you're always taking care of yourself, but also know what you want. Like, have your standards, have your boundaries, because I feel like if you don't set that on early on in the relationship, it's going to be harder to break it later, because they're going to be so used to like, well, you never cared about that before, even though like maybe you did care about it, but you never said anything because you guys were still like fresh in the relationship, but you just didn't say anything because you really liked that person and you were just afraid. When you try to like change that after being together for a few years, be like, well, I just never said anything because I just didn't want any problems. Like, no, make that clear from the very beginning what you want and what you don't want. My favorite vitamins and supplements. I'm terrible at taking vitamins and supplements on a daily basis, if I'm being absolutely honest with you. I will incorporate like protein shakes here and there. I like to do the Lean Body plant-based protein. I also like to do the Inaka proteins. I recently got some vitamins from Lemmy, which I haven't been taking very consistently to see like the differences, but I have a few gummies from them. I think I have like the matcha, which is like the energy one, and then I have another one that's for like biotin, your hair, skin, nails. What else? I have like a woman's probiotics, like kind of helps with, you know, vaginal stuff, you know. But yeah, I don't take them very consistently as I should. Sometimes I have to supplement like iron pills because I will get pretty like low on iron from time to time. But yeah, that's kind of the supplements I take. Okay, next question is, how do you stay dedicated to staying consistent with your food intake for the gains? Okay, so I struggle to eat. I don't always have the best appetite, or there's days where I'm just like eating nonstop and I'm just always hungry. But I will say that you need to start with breakfast, at least something small if you don't like having a heavy breakfast, but you need to have food in the morning, because that definitely will help you throughout the day. It helps your get like your metabolism started, because I've noticed when I don't eat breakfast in the morning, I can go until like 1 o'clock without eating, and I'm like, oh my god, I haven't had a meal all day and I'm just now eating. And when I do have breakfast, by like 11, 10, I'm like hungry again. Like I can feel myself like getting hungry and like wanting more food. So I would definitely say like make sure that you are eating in the morning, because that's going to help your appetite throughout the day. If you need to meal prep, honestly, when I meal prep like for 2 or 3 days, and it's usually just like lunch. That way I don't have to like stress about cooking, because breakfast and dinner, I'm like, okay, I can like figure that out. But it's usually just like a lunch, like during the day when I'm busy and I just need to grab something. So meal prepping, I usually just do 2-3 days. Keep it simple. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. For the most part, my meals are pretty simple when I meal prep. If for whatever reason I'm feeling in a fancy mood and I want something different, like I'll make it. But having food already ready and prepared, it definitely helps you to stay on track. Having healthy snacks around the house as well is definitely going to help you. Or say you know you're going to be gone and out of the house for a few hours and running a few errands, I like to take snacks with me in my purse. Like have a protein bar, a protein shake. I like beef jerky, so I'll keep beef jerky around me. Like that's a good high protein snack. Nuts, just little things like that I can constantly just like grab and snack on, so that I'm not going like all day without eating. But also just reminding myself like, okay, like I'm not going to accomplish these goals if I'm not being consistent with my food. But if there's days where I'm just like, especially on my period when my appetite isn't the best, I do my best to eat, but I don't make myself feel bad if I don't eat, because I know like, okay, well today wasn't a great eating day, you know what, I'm going to try again tomorrow. Like just do your best. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overthink about it. Just do your best. Okay, next question. It's kind of weird. What size bottoms do you wear? I want a butt, or it's like a peach emoji like you, but I'm scared my bottoms won't fit anymore. So I mean, now I answered this question, but I think it's a little bit weird, because of course like my jeans are gonna fit like my body type. That's kind of why I get the Abercrombie Curve Love jeans, because I am a size 25, 26, depending on like the stretch of the jeans. And I get the Curve Love so that it fits me tighter on my waist and I have room on my hips. But that might not be the same for everybody. And like if you grow your glutes, you're gonna run into the problem of your bottoms like probably not fitting. But like I would just buy new jeans, because I'll just buy new jeans. But you know what, I got a fat peach, so I don't know what size you currently are now, and like I don't know. I answered the question, but like it's a little bit weird. Next question is, when do you want kids? So that's funny. Growing up, I always thought by 25 I'd have my shit together. That is definitely not how it turned out. So I always thought like I was going to be a young mom and have like, there's like just people like driving by. It's like so weird. You're just driving up and down the street. So growing up, I always wanted to be a young mom, not like a teenage mom. Not that there's anything against that. My mom had me when she was 17, but I think because of that, I always just wanted to like be a young mom, because I don't know, like I thought it was kind of cool, like going to school and everybody's like, oh, like how old is your mom? And I would say my mom's age, and to be like, what the heck, like she's so young, like my mom is this age, this and that or whatever. And I always thought it was cool to have a young mom, so I was like, I want to be a young mom. Obviously that didn't happen, and I also wanted to make sure that I am like, I guess you're never really ready for kids, like no matter how hard you like plan ahead and stuff like that, like you're never really 100%. I'm sorry, there's like a car like being low-key sketch, so I just kind of keep looking. I guess this is what happens when you record in your car. But I'm also like in my own neighborhood and literally parked in front of my car, and I've never seen that car besides today, like literally twice since I've been filming right now, and they just come up and down like super slow. But anyways, I always thought I would have kids at a younger age. I always thought like 25, I'll be married, I have kids, like that's a good age. But I always wanted to make sure that I was at least financially stable and ready for kids, because I have always wanted to give my kids what I didn't have growing up. And so I was like, okay, like when I become a mom, when I have kids, you know, if I can like be safe and wait to have kids until I am financially ready, I would prefer to do so. So yeah, I always thought 25, but then I met my fiance and he had different thoughts. He's like, I don't want to have kids until like I'm almost 30. And I mean, we're almost 30 and we're getting married. We'll be getting married soon. So definitely after marriage, I'm be like, okay, like we're married, we have our shit together, we have our jobs, we graduated school, we have our own place, like it's time for kids, you know. So I want to say like I want to at least have one kid like on the way before I'm 30. I think that's gonna be like the ideal age for us. I don't want to be older than 30, and I've always wanted to have like 3 kids, but now I'm like, okay, like I'm getting older and I don't have one kid, so I'm like, maybe I'm just gonna have 2. Like we'll see if that's even what God wants for me, like if I'm going to be able to be a mom and like what his plans and goals are for me. I've always wanted 3 kids, so we'll see how the first one goes, and if I'm able to like have more kids. 3 would be a good number, but honestly I would be okay with 2. It's just me and my sister, and I think that's why I'm like, I've always wanted like a third. I've always wanted like a little brother, and I never had a little brother, although my sister was very tomboy-y, so I feel like that was in a sense my little brother and little sister. But one thing I don't want is a huge age gap, because me and my sister are 5 years apart. Now that we're older, like we get along so much better, but when we were younger, I would just remember like, I feel so mean, but like I would just get so annoyed because I'd be like, go over there, like leave me alone. Like I was in my teenager phase and she was just wanting to like hang out, be around me. And I was like, I'm too old for you, you're too little to be doing like X, Y, and Z, you know. So I just remember being so mean. But yeah, like a huge age gap is definitely not something I want for my own kids. I want them to kind of grow up together, and I also just kind of want to like be like boom boom boom, I'm done, like that's it, we're done, we got over the diapers. Like once the last one's done with the diapers, I'm done with diapers. Like that is the goal. Next question is, I know putting yourself on the internet can be scary. Do you ever overthink when posting? I definitely would overthink when posting before. I mean, I still do, because obviously like I want to make sure that first my safety is like the most important to me, and I'm not saying that I'm just like this huge celebrity or anything like that, but you never know, people are crazy. So I definitely don't try to like overshare too much, especially when I am like out places. I usually don't post until like I leave that place, or where like if it's not so obvious like where I'm at, then I will do. That car has like driven by here 3 times. Anyways, like I was saying, I won't post until afterwards, or if I do post like while I'm there, I kind of make it to where like you can't really tell where I'm at type thing. But as far as like myself, obviously there's certain things that I like to keep private and keep off of social media. I do share like my personal life with you guys, but I also do take into consideration like my family members and my friends. They might not be as comfortable with social media and being on social media the way I am, so I definitely like take them into consideration. And the internet is mean. People talk shit. People are like have zero filter, and I will not be okay with anybody talking bad about my family members, my loved ones, my friends, anything like that. Like if you talk shit to me, like okay, whatever, like I can take it and I'm like okay, cool. But like I am very protective, and so like I do overthink in a sense of like just being mindful about like other people and their feelings and stuff. But I always try to be like open and honest with you guys about who I really am, because I want you guys to like, if you ever meet me in person, like you get what you get on Instagram on social media or on this podcast. Like, I don't pretend to be anybody that I'm not. I am very like shy and introvert at first. I feel like I've said that a million times, but like once I get comfortable with you, I open up a little bit more. I'm not a mean girl. I will always be a nice girl, but I'm just shy. Unless you do something to me, and then I just don't really care much for you, and I won't really like ever like go off on you or stuff like that. I just don't really talk to you, and like that's that, unless you really get me to that point. But it takes a lot for me to get to that point. But once I get to that point, I'm like, girl, that's it. Like, there's no going back. Like, you cross limits, you cross boundaries. That goes for like anybody, because I feel like I'm a very patient and understanding person, but like once you like ruin that, once you lose that, it's really hard to go back. But yeah, I mean, I will say, like, I do think about the things I post, and I do, like, you know, make sure that I'm not oversharing, but I do want to share my life with you guys, and I want you guys, like, I want to share my journey in hopes that it inspires and motivates you guys in any which way. Okay, next question. So I got this question so many times and in so many different ways, and I've been holding off like talking about this topic just because it does make me a little bit sad. But you know what? Lately I've just been like, whatever is meant to be will be. If it's not for me, it's not for me. No matter what I do, it's not for me, and there's nothing I can do. So that's just kind of been my motto for this next topic. But I feel like a lot of you guys, I haven't even been drinking this. But I feel like a lot of you guys have been asking, and I just have to talk about it, because you guys are going to find out one way or another, and I want you guys to find out through me. Okay, so next question is if I'm still going to be with Alphalete. So let's take it back to last year. I think it was, I was a little bit upset about the timing of this. I definitely feel like the timing could have been a little bit better. So like that was definitely upsetting, but again, I was like, you know what, there's only so much I can do, and there's only so much control I have. So I was not trying to like dwell on the situation. But I think it was before Christmas, if I'm being honest. I feel like it was before Christmas. If it wasn't before Christmas, it was before New Year's, but it was definitely before one of like those holidays, which I was like, okay, like that's not the best timing. But we got an email from the person in charge of like the athletes and stuff like that, in charge of like the athletes and the affiliates and stuff like that, that there was going to be changes being made within Alphalete. They were going to be doing exclusive athletes and partnerships slash collaborations. So what I was a non-exclusive athlete, meaning I could work with Alphalete. I had a code with Alphalete, and it didn't stop me from being able to work with any other brand. I can still work with any other brand. I didn't just have to work with Alphalete. But they changed that. That is no longer an option. And so I had to make a decision between being exclusive or being just a partnership with Alphalete. So being exclusive, I would not be able to work with any other brand. I would still have a code. But again, I would not be able to work with any other brand. Fitness took away the non-exclusive athletes, and so now it's a partnership option. So basically the partnership option is you will no longer have a code. I'm not going to go like too deep into detail because I don't even know like if I will get in trouble, but obviously I just kind of want to explain to you guys. So you don't have a code, and you won't be a part of every single like launch or campaign. They will pick specific people to be a part of specific launches and campaigns. They basically just told us this is what's happening, and you will hear from us later and see what opportunities are available for you. And so that's like happened. I find that out before the holidays, so I'm like stressed. I have anxiety because I'm just like, okay, like you just dropped this bomb on me, and like I just don't know really like how to feel. Like I'm torn, and all I could do was just wait And so fast forward, I'm like, okay, maybe the first week of January I'll hear something. Didn't hear anything. The next week, still didn't hear anything. I maybe think I heard something like the middle of January. I don't even know the exact timeline. But anyways, it wasn't like early January. And so I'm like stressing out, obviously, because this is a part of my job. And so I'm like, okay, well, like, what am I going to do? Like, what am I still going to be able to work with them? Are they going to offer me exclusivity? And last year in January, they actually offered me to be exclusive, and I said no because I had just signed with teaaaaa, and teaaaaa was a brand I really, really wanted to work with for such a long time. And so I had just signed a contract with them, and I was like, I'm so sorry, but there's like no way I'm gonna break this contract. I just signed like maybe a week or two ago to be exclusive with Alphalete. Like, I need to see this opportunity through and just see like what this is. Like, I just wanted to know what was in store for me and just see, you know? And so I said no. And then, you know, fast forward, I'm glad I said no because I was a part of multiple shoots with teaaaaa. I feel like that's something that I really want to be like more involved with. I don't want to just be like, oh, I have a code with this brand. I want to be a part of a brand. I want it to be like a family, and that's really what I felt with teaaaaa. And so I was like, no, like, I can't leave teaaaaa. Although I love Alphalete, you know, I love teaaaaa too, and I just was not willing to give up teaaaaa just solely be with Alphalete. And so, yeah, we had multiple like negotiations. We were going back and forth. They ended up, so once I finally like heard back from them, I had set up a meeting for FaceTime to meet with the managers, and they were offering me to be exclusive. And again, it's such an amazing opportunity to be exclusive with a brand, especially a brand like Alphalete, like that high in the fitness world. Because I know, like, when I first started my journey, the only big brands were Gymshark and Alphalete. And so, like, for me to be a part of Alphalete was like a huge deal for me. I've been with Alphalete for like 3 years now. This would have been 4, I believe. And so it was just, I don't know, like 3 or 4. I don't know the exact timeline, but like 3 for sure. So it was just like, dang, like, what do I do? So they offered me exclusivity. We negotiated back and forth, and ultimately I had to do what was best for me. And as heartbreaking as it is to say, I'm no longer like with Alphalete at that like level. Like, I don't have a code with them anymore, and I don't know what campaigns I'll be a part of. It's just kind of like, well, they'll hit me up when they want me to be a part of a certain campaign. And so, like, it's definitely like heartbreaking, and I was definitely sad. I definitely cried, just because it just felt like the end of something. But talking to the managers, they were very like, okay, we love you and we want to keep our relationship with you. We don't necessarily like want to let you go and like, okay, like, that's it, this is the end of our relationship. Like, we definitely want to still have you be a part of our campaigns in the future. But for me, it just didn't make sense to let go of my other partnerships, just to be with Alphalete. And so it was a very like hard decision to make, and I'm still like, this just happened. I'm still like processing that, but I know that everything for a reason, and it didn't work out because of something. And so I'm like, I'm okay with that, and I might not know what that reason was as of right now, but I will know one day, and I will thank myself for going with my gut instinct and just believing that that wasn't what was meant for me. So yeah, I will still be with Alphalete, just I won't have a code with them. But there are so many other athletes that you guys can support and use their code, and I will still do reviews, try on hauls, and all that stuff for any campaigns that I am a part of. And I'm just so thankful that I was even given the opportunity to work with them for as long as I have. Obviously, I'm still going to be continuing to work with them, but I feel like that was the end of something, you know. And so like, that's kind of why I'm saying thank you to them. But yeah, like, maybe one day it will work out, and if it doesn't work out, like, it was never meant to be, and like, I'm going to be okay with that. But I'm just excited to see what this year has in store for me. It's been great, and I'm very thankful that like I have the platform that I do, and the followers and the community that I do, because without all of that, like, none of that would have been possible. So yeah, I will no longer have a code with Alphalete, but I will still be a part of the brand. It was definitely a hard decision to make, but at the end of the day, I just had to do what was best for me. But yeah, I love the Alphalete team. You know, we didn't end on bad terms. It was nothing like that. It was just a, hey, you know, I have to do what's best for me. It was a mutual understanding, and that's that. So yeah, I'm just gonna like answer just a bunch of questions like about myself that you may or may not know. I feel like I never really talk about my age because I'm like, dang, like, girl, you're old. But you know what? This year I'm going to embrace my age. And I feel like I say that, like, I feel so old because I feel like social media is just, there's just so many young people. And when I find out the age of some of these girls, sometimes I'm just like, oh my god, like, you're 21? I'm like, damn. Like, I remember when I was 21, like, I was not doing what you're doing right now, girl. Like, the world has just changed so much. But I am 27. I will be 28 on April 23rd. So my birthday is in a few months. Yeah, I'm embracing my age, okay, girl? I'm not old, okay? Even though I always say, I'm like, oh my god, I'm getting so old. I'm getting close to 30. But you know what? I heard 30s are better than our 20s. So I'm looking forward to my 30s. I am a Taurus. I don't know, like, if I give off Taurus energy, because I know everybody always says Tauruses are so stubborn. I will say when I was younger, I was very, very stubborn, like, very stubborn. You could not tell me anything. You could not change my mind about anything. But I feel like as an individual, I've grown and I'm not as stubborn as I used to be. But I am stubborn in the sense of, like, if I want something or I want to make something happen, like, I will do whatever I can to make it happen. Again, I am now learning that if something isn't meant for me, no matter what I do, it's not going to happen. So that's okay. But that's kind of like where my stubbornness comes in. I guess sometimes in arguments I can be stubborn. If you ask my fiance, I have one younger sister. She is going to be, how old is she going to be? 24? Dang, she's going to be 24 this year. That's crazy. We are engaged. We're planning wedding probably in 2025. 2024 just feels like too early for us. We don't want to be in a rush. I didn't have the best childhood growing up, but I do feel like it shaped me to be the person that I am today. We'll get into that topic another time because that's a pretty like sensitive topic for me. Like my family, it's a very sensitive subject for me. But I have learned to forgive certain things just to be a better person, like, for myself, because I used to hold on to things. Like, I used to hold on to things. I will tell you, like, I would hold grudges, and in the end, like, it's just really not healthy for me in general. I went to college. I graduated from the University of Laverne. I got my degree in kinesiology. Will I be going to a master's, like going into a master's program? Probably not. I think I'm done with school. Although I don't know why. Sometimes I have the random like, hey, I should just go for my master's, you know. My concentration was in human health and performance. Before social media, I wanted to be an athletic trainer. Or a strength and conditioning coach, which is very like male dominated, which is very male dominant. I would say like that industry is very male dominant. But yeah, I wanted to do something related to sports and physical activity and people. But then once I started doing social media and then I became a personal trainer, I was like, do I really want to do that? Because that would require more years of schooling for me. And I was like, I think I'm good with what I'm doing now, and I have my bachelor's, so I'm good. What else? I didn't go to college right after high school. Honestly, I went to a JC for a few years, and then I stopped going to school, and then I felt super shitty once I started seeing like all my friends and people I knew that were like in my that graduated the same year I did. They were all graduating from college, and I just felt like super shitty. But I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life at the time, so I'm glad that like I didn't like force myself to stay in school, and I just kind of like I worked as an feel like I did multiple jobs, guys. But my last job was a leasing agent. I worked in an apartment office, and I was just like, okay, well, I don't know what I want to do school-wise, so I'm just going to work, make money, until I found working out and was like, okay, I can actually make a living and I can make a career out of this. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back to school. And so, yeah, I went back to school. But yeah, I have a dog. His name is Enzo. He actually just turned 6 today. And he is a husky, and I love him to death. He has the most beautiful blue eyes I've ever seen. Like, nobody has more beautiful eyes than him. But yeah. So that's a wrap for this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Do something for yourself today, whatever it may be. Take care of yourself. And I will see you guys in the next podcast. Love you. Bye.